there's just a little bit left in here. So I'm going to show everybody how to do that. And we're going to chat about health and hormones, and then one of the reasons why I make homemade dog treats. Let me move this back just a bit. I'm using a different stand today, so hopefully it's a little more stable and you guys can really see what I am doing. Hold on. Let me adjust it so you can see the table better. Put it at an angle so you can see the countertop and what I'm doing. Okay, first things first, we're gonna put on my favorite apron so I don't get stuff all over me when I cook. Because sometimes I'm messy. Sometimes that just happens, you know? That's how it goes. So this dog treat recipe is not my own. I got it off of, I think, Pinterest. Just somewhere online. And the only difference is that I put a little bit of spirulina in this. This was recommended to us by our veterinarian because one of our dogs has Addison's disease. So getting him some extra nutrients can be really helpful. So there's some great things that I'm going to chat about, but these are things where I really like to try and make my own stuff whenever possible. And even when it comes to dog treats. So if you guys have questions, you can always pop them in the chat. But first off, I've just got a ton of stuff here because after I do the dog treats, I need to feed my sourdough starter. Yep, she needs to be fed. So we're gonna be making these treats and then feeding the starter. So these are the leftover dog treats. I keep them in this. I do have to keep them in the fridge. They do not do well on the counter. Oh, here they come. Here come the dogs because they heard me open it. Yes, I know. Come here. Come here. Sit. Good boys. Good boys. Yep. So this is what's left. I keep them in the fridge, hence the condensation on them. So they last longer in the fridge, but they are a fresh product. So if I leave them out on the counter for several days, they will mold. But they do really, really well keeping in the fridge. The ingredients, super simple and easy. These are also grain-free for the dogs. So the two flours that I use are cassava and almond flour. I use a blend of it for the consistency that I like. Right? That's kind of, right? I'm not a dog expert or anything, but in terms of like how I cut them, how I utilize them, all that stuff, that's just what works really well for me. You want to see the dogs? The dogs are right there. This is Murray and then Gary's sitting down. So again, the only tweak, so I'll walk you through my ingredients and everything. It's super simple. I use just like a half a can of canned pumpkin. And then I use some type of nut butter. This is almond butter. I've used peanut butter, that type of a thing. Like half a cup of that. There's 2 eggs that will go in it, and I'll put it in a blender cup, blend it. And then I add a little bit of spirulina. Again, this is a specific recommendation from our veterinarian because of Gary's Addison's disease. Addison's is, his adrenal glands don't produce cortisol. So he has to have a shot every month, and we do a pill every day for him to keep him going. This is also a disease. It's not super common, but it is present in dogs, also humans. Humans can also have Addison's disease. So, all right, so let's get started. First thing I'm gonna do here is take the canned pumpkin. Again, I use half a can of it. This is just left over from the last batch I made. So again, the color of these is going to be from the pumpkin and the nut butter that you use. But again, I'm going to put in a little bit of spirulina for extra nutrients for my boys, which gives it a little green color, which is a little weird. Look, they're going to be here the whole time. They're going to be right here, right waiting. They know. They absolutely know when I start baking their treats. Yes. So, again, I'm not a professional baker or anything like that, right? I really enjoy making treats for the dogs, and I like having things that are fresh. And again, with Gary's Addison's disease, I do really try to have healthy options for him and really take care of him because it can influence his, you know, just the overall, not just quality of life, but the length of his life. And these boys are also, they're bird dogs. So they're English Springer Spaniels, and they are trained to be upland bird dogs My husband is a hunter, so he hunts with them. Pheasant, mostly pheasant, some duck. But yeah, so they are very high energy dogs. Very high energy dogs. So there is that. Okay, so there's that. I don't measure exactly, but it's about a half a cup and then a half a cup of the nut butter. So I'm just gonna, do you see him giving me the eyeball right there? Murray's giving me the eyeball. So these dogs are also, our dogs are from the same breeder. The breeder is called, or on Facebook, they're called Chasing Cattails. Good, really great breeder. Really focused on hunting dogs, things like that. So really, really good. Okay. Get all that almond butter in there. There we go. Why don't we just use up the rest of it? Because this is the end of the jar. Again, you can use peanut butter. This is just what I had. I actually ran out of peanut butter. So I only have almond butter left and hazelnut butter, and I don't feed hazelnut butter to the dogs. So there's that. So just the pumpkin and a bunch of almond butter in there. This is pretty full. He is such a cute dog. Thank you. Yes, you guys are very cute. They're also, again, they're very good boys most of the time. Sometimes they are a little naughty. Shake. Good boy. Shake. Good boy. And that's Gary. This is Gary. So he's the one that has Addison's. So again, that's what really started my journey on just exploring a lot of other healthy options, right? I do so many healthy options for me and my family. I mean, I work with women's health and hormones, but I was like, I really want to make sure I'm doing everything I can for my puppy to help him be the healthiest boy ever. So, okay. So 2 eggs added into the blender cup there. I know, boys. They're gonna be so excited when this is done. Okay, this is gonna get loud for a second. I don't have a fancy blender. I know some people have a fancy blender. I don't. This is the same blender I've had for like 12 years. It still works. It's still great. Wait. There we go. Trusty blender. Sometimes I have to add water if it gets really thick, like it does. So I'll add a little water. That's the hardest part about doing this. It's really fast and easy. I'm already preheating my oven to 350, so it bakes for, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes at 350. That's it. Oh, I should add the spirulina to this too. Yeah, see, it's just a very, right, this is most of the nut butter and the egg. Like I said, this is not a professional cooking show. I'm just trying to show, it's super easy to do, to have homemade treats. I'll add this in because it gets really messy. Spirulina, right? It is protein, chlorophyll, trace minerals, antioxidants are some of the nutrients that spirulina delivers. It's right on the back. So this is an algae. So it has just a ton of nutrients in it. And again, with Gary and his Addisons, I mean, they eat a raw food diet as well. I'm getting some strange comments. Yeah, I know. That's fine. People can be people. But yeah, I'm just here to show, like, I just do a little bit like that. That's it. And it is really green. And I don't know if you guys can see, it's super, super green. It's an algae. Of course it's green, right? Yeah. But there's so many good nutrients in it. So you only need a little bit. So this bag I have had for such a long time, right? And there's still so much left in it. This is still going to last me months. I make these treats once every couple of weeks. So yeah. So it's super easy to keep going with it. Okay. I have 2 different size blender cups and I chose the smaller one and now I think I should have done the bigger one. We'll see. It'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen, right? Again, this is my super old blender. I know other people have like fancy blenders. I don't have fancy blenders. This is, yes, gonna be messy. Let me just get it a little more mixed here with the, yes. Get it a little more mixed, and then we'll do one more round. Oh, see, it's okay if it's messy because I have a cleanup crew. I have a great cleanup crew. Yes. And again, this is one of those things that I used to be really intimidated by doing stuff like this. Like, oh my gosh, I can't make homemade dog treats. That seems like so much time and energy and effort. I'm making it look harder than it actually is right now. But, oh, that's not going to be good, or that's going to be a tough thing to do, or how does anybody do this stuff, right? You just kind of figure it out and make it up as you go. Okay, good. Well, this is not blending in. That's okay. We're going to go with it. We're just going to go with it because these boys are not going to be able to wait that long. Again, I am not one that measures super, super accurately. Not super accurate. Yeah. But they're just underfoot right now. And that's okay. And they love it. Yeah. These are also treats that we use for training them as well. They're a high energy breed overall. I mean, usually any hunting dog is going to have to be a higher energy, you know, have higher energy level in general, but just with especially running them, training them, hunting, all that stuff. I do not do the hunting. That's not my favorite, but it's just not my thing. But I love to support it, and the dogs love it. So, and they're great dogs. You know, I've got 3 kids, so they're great family dogs too. And that can sometimes be a tough mix when you're looking for a really good family dog, as well as, you know, we call a working dog, and to keep them healthy and then to have a treat. You could eat these. These are human edible too, right? Which actually all dog food should be, right? There's so many things where like dogs shouldn't eat. I mean, obviously things like chocolate, but like candy or soda or things like that. Well, then why should humans, right? But this is one of those things that if you were to consume this, it's literally nut butter, pumpkin, see, very messy, that's fine. The spirulina that's in there, and then I just add the flour to thicken it. So that's it right there. So we're gonna add a couple of cups of this. So again, I use a mix of almond and cassava flour so that it's grain-free to keep the dogs from eating and consuming grain. They're, again, these are just recommendations specific to our dogs because of Gary's Addison little tweaks that I've made to the recipe, right? You can use whatever blend, but this is so grain-free. So you've got almond flour, we'll use a cup of that, and then cassava flour. Cassava is a root vegetable. Organic yucca roots. Yes. So this is a gluten-free flour. So a lot of people who are gluten-free will use this flour, or it's in blends of mixes and things like that. It's a very fine flour. It's very light. You might see it like it's a very powdery flour. And this is a very dense, coarse flour, almond flour. So it's kind of a mix of them, right? To even out the texture of the treats. So we're just gonna do, see, like I don't know if you can see the puff of, yeah, like very light, fine, almost like, yeah, almost like rice flour, very light and fine. And then we'll do a cup of this and then just start to mix it together. Again, I'm not measuring exactly. These are dog treats. If it's not thick enough, I'll add a little more. If it's too thick, I'll add a little water. That's just fine. But this is about the recipe. 2 eggs, half a cup of nut butter, about a half a cup. I use half a can of, oh, I don't even have the can. Canned pumpkin. And then again, my only tweak on it is a little bit of that spirulina, which makes it this weird color. Ugh. And it's the powder of the cassava, the cassava flour, until it kind of gets mixed in here. Oh, my oven's almost ready. So yeah, and then I just bake it at 350. Super, super easy. And again, these will last a couple of weeks. Well, it depends on how many treats you feed your dogs. But again, they're fresh, they're healthy treats. They're used in training. They're used in, when my husband takes them hunting, all this stuff. That's them. So there's that. So this is a pretty good consistency here. Again, you can make it thicker or whatever, but the way that they are as a finished product is I like them like this so that they're not too crumbly. Like I can squeeze it with my finger and it sticks together more. So I don't like it to crumble a ton and fall apart. When we use the almond flour here, that's where this can get a little crumbly, but that's just what I like. So again, I've made this recipe a ton of times, and this is what I've settled on. So, hi kiddo. So I'm making the boys treats. So then I use this. Oh, will you grab me the scissors over there, kiddo? And thank you. I will roll it out on parchment and I will cook it on this little pan on parchment. You can use a bigger pan, you can make a bigger batch, all that other stuff. I just really like using this pan because I can get it to a certain size. Yeah, that's my favorite overall. So, and it makes it easier because this is kind of a sticky mess. This is, yeah, it's a little sticky. Again, this is kind of a messy project, but like I said, I have helpers that are gonna help me clean up, and they will lick the bowl and everything if I need them to, which is always wonderful. Right, puppies? Yes. Mm-hmm. Always willing helpers. Helpers is always nice. So sometimes I roll it, sometimes I shape it. I might shape this one because it is pretty sticky. But that's kind of the fun thing about this. And again, you can use different nut butters. You can use whatever you have on hand. You can use a blend of nut butters, whatever you like or have around or whatever your animal likes. Like I just used almond butter today because that's what I had around. But again, these, it is helpful to keep these in the fridge. These are not going to be good long-term out of the fridge because they're fresh. There's nothing in them to preserve them. They're all, pumpkin, nut butter, egg, and it's this brown color because of the spirulina. So spreading it out on this to make it an even. See, this is where, yeah, I'm gonna do the rolling pin method. That can be helpful. Just to roll it a little bit and get it more even. Just for speed. There. And then, just want to make sure it fits in my little pan. Yep. Oh, my oven's done. There. Now this Does not look tasty, but it smells like peanut butter, and the dogs are gonna love it. There. So now I'm just gonna pop, that's it. Easy and fast. Pop it in the oven, and then when I get it out of the oven, I do let it cool pretty well before I cut it. And again, I cut them into squares like this. You could, I know someone else that does, like she'll take a measuring spoon and like scoop the dough and like make little, you know, round balls with it. I mean, you can do that. This to me is just easier to pop it in the oven like this, let it cool completely, and then cut it in the squares. And it's just fine. So here we go. In the oven. There. Right, boys? You've been so good. Come here. Sit. Sit. They're so good. And I will have them finish this. Do I think any other animals prepare their food the way humans do? No. No, babe. That's a good question though. So they have to eat these within the next day or so before, before these ones are ready. So that's it. So we'll bake it for about 20 minutes. And then it just gets really, you know, it looks, because of the green color, that's not a good example. Because of the green color, it doesn't get really brown on top. So it can be hard to tell when it's done, right? It can feel like, oh my gosh, is this done? I don't know. And here's the thing, is that even if it's not totally cooked all the way through, it's a dog treat. So you can keep it in the fridge, keep it fresh. They will still love it, even if it's not totally cooked all the way through. So that's the other thing. But I usually bake it for about 20, 25 minutes. 30, if it does start to get brown on top, then I've noticed it does crumble more. And again, I like it to hold its form a little bit better, but that's just for the dog treats. So, okay. So now I've got my dog treats baking. The next thing I was gonna work on is feeding my sourdough starter. So I have 2 jars of sourdough starter that I keep going. And this is another thing I like to have, you know, just prepped and prepared, because it's nice to have a healthier option for bread. We are a gluten-free house. So I'm gonna discard kind of the top layer here of this. We don't need this, of both of these jars. Do you need 2 jars of a sourdough starter? No. No, you don't. I just like to have a backup. So I feed this one and keep it in the fridge just in case, because I have accidentally kept my sourdough starter in the oven to warm it and I baked it. That was my mistake. So I take some of it out and I'm just gonna feed it to keep it going. I'll make bread probably this weekend, but making sourdough bread, once you get the hang, this is another thing. Once you get the hang of it, it can be intimidating at first, but there's a ton of benefit to having fresh product at home. And it just takes a little bit of time. So I do use a mix of flours. Again, these are gluten-free, but this one, is this a grain technically? Because it's rice flour, brown rice, sorghum, tapioca, right? So this is a grain, which again, the dogs do not get. That's not for the dogs. But one of the things that I really love to share and talk about is just little things that you can do for your overall gut health. And there are a lot of people that have gut issues or they have a hard time eating breads or starches. And then they switch to a sourdough and it just, oh, they're like, oh my gosh, my stomach can handle it better. Or I do way better with this or that. I'm like, yep, absolutely. So my recipe for this is 3 tablespoons of water. And this is filtered water, per 2 tablespoons of flour. And again, I do the blend of each of these. So I'll just mix in the water, kind of make this a slurry, blend this down a little bit, here and here. There's Gary. Right? Yes, you're a good boy. They're just waiting here. They're waiting for more treats because they are good boys. Okay. So I do a tablespoon of this gluten-free bread flour, and then I do a tablespoon of the gluten-free 1-to-1. for no other reason than I like to use both flours. The bread flour tends to be a little too thick for the feeding, and just the 1-to-1 tends to be a little too thin. And if you're thinking, gosh, that's a lot of different types of flour to keep on hand, I know. When it would be so easy to just have one type, but I get better results with different blends of things, just from stuff I've tried out. So we'll do 1 cup of the bread flour, gluten-free King Arthur. I love this bread flour. I've had such good luck with it in terms of a finished product, because doing any type of baking with gluten-free is tougher. So I just mix that in, and then I'll mix this in there. And then we've got just a tablespoon of the 1-to-1. Yes. There. And it does thicken up. This is like a good thick pancake batter. And then you know that you've got a good, you know, a really good starter going here. It's okay if it has a little, like it's not completely smooth. Sometimes people worry about, oh my gosh, my sourdough starter is not totally smooth and it's not, you know, perfect. Yep, it's like pancake batter where it's got little kind of lumps in it. That's totally fine, because the active bacteria in it is going to use it for energy and everything. So, yeah, and it smells good. It smells like bread flour. If you like the baking scents, there's that. And there's that. That's really easy and fast. Much faster than making the dog treats. And not as messy. Not as messy at all. So again, you do not have to have two jars of sourdough starter. I do, because I always have a backup that I keep in the fridge for a couple of weeks, and then I'll feed her. So this was her feeding time. So this I'll let rise for, I don't know, a few hours, and then I'll put it in the fridge, and it just lies dormant then, very inactive for a period of time, and then you can take it out and use it. This is just as good as something that you keep on the counter and feed more frequently. So a lot of sourdough people will feed their starter, keep it in the fridge consistently. You can also, I've had people have success with this. I've not tried it, but take the starter and put it in a thin layer on parchment, let it dry, and make it into a powder, and then you can travel with it. Or if you're thinking, yeah, I'm going out of town, how do I keep this going? Or I'm traveling and I'm gonna stay in an Airbnb for 2 weeks. How do I take starter with me? You can dry it, right? Feed it, keep it in the fridge, but take some of this active starter, dry it, take it with you, activate it there. So there's different methods. I haven't tried that, but I've seen it work for other people. So, and if you are into sourdough, it's super fun to do. And also sourdough is so fun because, again, it's not like it takes a ton of time day to day, just on your baking day, you know, which I use as my day to get a lot of stuff done. You know, I'm pushing a bunch of laundry through and doing a bunch of other things, and I'll be doing all my, you know, stretch and folds and baking and all that other stuff. So yeah, so this is what I wanted to chat about for today. Again, that's gonna be baking. I'll post on my IG my final product of this round. But again, this is exactly what they look like, the final dog treats. Super easy, 2 eggs, half a cup of nut butter, half a cup of pumpkin butter or pumpkin puree or whatever, canned pumpkin. And then I use a heaping cup of this and a heaping cup of this. And then again, these are a little bit greenish because I do add in a little bit of spirulina for nutrients for Gary because he has Addison's. So again, if you're like, oh, my dog doesn't have Addison's, do they need that? Probably, I mean, I don't know, maybe not, ask your vet, right? Our vet recommended it for him to have like little bits of nutrient every day. But again, otherwise, if I don't put spirulina in, they're kind of like a light brown color, you know? Otherwise, they look weird. The first time I made these, I think my husband was like, are they okay? They're green. And I was like, right, they're green because of spirulina. A really nutrient dense thing. So, all right, come here. They are very good boys. Good boys. Okay, there. All right. So thanks for hanging out today, you guys. And being on the live. I feel like I missed a comment. Hold on. Let me see if I can. I can't read it that far away. I got too many things in the way. All right. So, all right. That's what I got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning into my live. I'll be doing a live every week where I, kind of show something in my kitchen, talk about just easy, healthy things that you can keep around. Today it was for the dogs because I had to make dog treats. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in. You can always give me a follow and then get notified whenever I do go live. All right. Bye.